everyone, and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you 6 of my best tips for tomorrow's racing. Now, before we get stuck into that, quickly just want to reflect on how today's selections performed. I've got to admit, it was an absolutely abysmal day. Nothing went well for us at all. And to be fair, I think both horses had their chances. Maybe Little Brown Trout had an excuse. He was the nap of the day and was up there for a long way, but to be fair, I think he was very keen in the early stages and he just couldn't get settled. Holly just couldn't settle him at all, and I think that's what paid to his chances early on, but that's the only excuse he really had. So yeah, maybe you could forgive that effort there, and maybe he wants some headgear to just calm him down a little bit. However, the next best, Goldfields at Sedgefield, I thought had every chance to be good enough on the day, went with Sabalco for the majority of the way, and in the end, maybe the fact that he just didn't get his own things up in front maybe didn't help to his chances. But yeah, if he was good enough on the day, he should have gone and won. Maybe the race did come too quickly, possibly, but in my opinion, I find it really hard to fault him. So yeah, our 2 selections today, quite a tricky day really. I saw a few of you in the comments had a few tips. A few of you I see there would have struggled to find a few winners. So yeah, it wasn't a great day for the majority of us. But fingers crossed it's just a blip. We had a good day on Monday, and fingers crossed we can find some winners tomorrow amongst my 6 selections here. Now, I really fancy quite a few of these to go well for us tomorrow. And we're going to be starting with my next best in the first race of the day at Hereford, the 12:05 Bumpy Johnson for Tom Scudamore and David Pipe. And you can currently back this horse at 9 to 4 at the time of recording, around about 6:30, and that price was available with Bet365. Now, this horse, Bumpy Johnson, you might remember I actually I put him up in my Eye Catchers series that I started doing on my YouTube channel a couple of months ago. Apologies as well, I should just say, for not carrying on that series recently, and Loaders Lane to Cheltenham. I've just been absolutely jam-packed with work over the last few weeks, and I just really haven't had the extra time to make those videos. Busy doing my project for Bruff Scott, also as well working at Sky Sports, still doing my researcher job, and also as well I'm recording the podcast as well. So yeah, putting in a lot of time to making these videos, and also as well with my extra commitments, you see. So yeah, I unfortunately just haven't had the time to do those videos. But yeah, going back to Bumpy Johnson, I put him up as one of my eye catchers of the week. I was really impressed by his bumper win at Fontwell, where he absolutely cruised through the field, and I don't think he really came out of second gear. And from that performance onwards, he's a horse that I always wanted to follow. Now, he is going to be making his hurdle debut here tomorrow, his first appearance over the obstacles. But I think if he takes to it, he should be good enough to beat some of these. Now, he might not have beaten much at Fontwell, but if you look at the horses running in here, not so keen on the Gordon Elliott horse, even though he is a fascinating contender coming over from Ireland, but I'm not too sure about him. The Alan King horse as well, I'm not sure about him. I think he's a bit flattered by his rating. And also as well, Emma Lavelle's horse, I'm not sure about that one in that race there, even though she does have a nice horse that I will mention in a minute. But yeah, going back to Bumpy Johnson, I think this horse, to me, stunk with a horse that is quite an exciting prospect. And it's interesting as well, I thought they might campaign him for the bumper that they often tend to do really well in at Ascot, the listed bumper. You might remember it's just before Christmas. They've got a good record in that, won it with Israel Champ last year. And I wondered if he was going to be going down the same route. But it's interesting that they've decided to go down the hurdles route, and I just think he can make a winning debut tomorrow. And I think at 9 to 4, I think he'll be a little bit shorter come post time, especially if the market vibes are positive. So that's going to be my next best of the day, Bumpy Johnson, and fingers crossed we can get a winner there. We then go to an extra tip tomorrow, which runs in the next race, actually, at Hereford, the 12:40. And I thought Polloi for James Byrne and Emma Lavelle, again, could be a really good one here to side with. Just going to be an extra tip. Currently back at 7-4 at the time of recording. Now, this horse won a really good bumper at Kempton, where the form has worked out quite well. You might have seen Lord Baddesley in there for Chris Gordon. He's come out and won since, okay, his last start. He didn't get the job done, but he's still ran an encouraging race. And there's a few others in here as well that haven't done the form any harm. So that was a good effort there by Polloi. And you might have seen him actually working with Paisley Park at the new Newbury the gallop this morning last week for the Ladbrokes Trophy, which is obviously going to be this weekend, and we'll talk more about that later in the week. But yeah, Polloi here, I think he can be a really exciting recruit to hurdles. And again, I didn't think there was too much to worry about with him in here. I really liked his attitude. I thought he showed really good enthusiasm at Newbury in that racecourse gallop. So that wouldn't concern me at all. And yeah, I just got a lot of time for this horse. And again, not an original selection, but I just think he'll be good enough tomorrow on the day to get the job done for us. And at 7-4, I'm going to be recommending him as one of my extra tips. We then go to Lingfield to the 130 with my long shot of the day. And I will admit, this isn't the biggest price long shot I've ever put up, but it's going to be my only each way selection tomorrow and my biggest price. And that runs in the 130 at Lingfield, Ballydoyle here for Tom Queally and Gary Moore. You can currently back this horse at the time of recording with Skybet at 13-2, 4 places. Now this horse, like I said, trained by Gary Moore, Tom Queally booked for the ride. Now Ballydoyle was really eye-catching last time, I thought, when he stayed on really encouragingly in the closing stages to grab third place. And I think he was given a little bit too much to do that day. I think Shane Kelly, if I remember, was booked to ride in that day. However, if he can get a little bit more nearer to the pace tomorrow, and you will have to be up there with the pace. There was quite a few horses today at Lingfield that were running there, and a lot of them were the ones that were doing well. We're actually just tracking the pace, not sitting too far back. So he won't want to be too far back tomorrow. But I think this horse is still got a bit more to come off his current mark. He's rated 59 on the flat, and he needs every inch of 2 miles. I think he needs the trip over 1.5 miles. I'm not sure he's quite as effective. I think we will be seeing him going over hurdles in the future. Actually finished 4th last time we saw him over hurdles. That was not on his last run, but when he did run over hurdles, he actually did finish 4th in a fair novice hurdle at Plumpton. So he could be one to watch out for later in the winter. But Ballydoyle tomorrow, I think he does have a race in him on the flat. This isn't a particularly strong race. There's a couple of horses that like to get on with things, and if they do go a little bit too quick for him, it could set up nicely for his stamina. And also as well, Tom Queally did have a winner at Lingfield today, so a few positives to take in there tomorrow. I thought he was very eye-catching last time, and I'll be disappointed at least if he couldn't make the frame. So that's going to be the each way and long shot selection of the day tomorrow. We then go to Weatherby for an extra tip with a horse called Some Rain here for Connor O'Farrell and Rose Dobbin. You can currently back this horse at 4-1 in the 225 at Weatherby, and I think this horse has got a very good chance tomorrow. Now, he was quite unlucky last time when it looked like he was going to win when he fell with a couple of fences to go, and I think if he jumps it, he would have won the race. He looked like he had the field at his mercy, and if you go back through some of his form, he's a previous course winner, and he actually won on his penultimate start on his first run of the season at Hexham, which was quite a good performance that day. Now he's off a mark of 129, which I think is workable, but the key to this fella is good ground, and the ground at Weatherby tomorrow is going to be at least good to soft at the worst case scenario, so that shouldn't be a problem for him. They're not expecting too much rain, so as long as it stays the ground currently as good to soft, I think he's going to have a massive chance. Yes, there's a couple of in here that could maybe pose a threat, like Ballyvic Baru, but I think Ballyvic Baru would have finished second to Some Rain. Also as well, you've got the Phil Hobbs horse making the long journey up. I probably wouldn't want to be siding with him. I think he's personally better the other way round, and also as well, he still needs a bit more experience over fences, in my opinion, to really be seen to a good effect in a race of this nature. And Billingsley as well for Alistair Ralph. Nice horse last season, was progressing well through the ranks, but I think he might need the run, where Some Rain is, I think, a little bit of value at 4-1. I think he could arguably be shorter, and if he can just iron out his mistake from last time, I think he'll take all the beating in that race at Weatherby tomorrow, and that's why he is going to be an extra tip. We then go to Hereford for the 250 with my nap of the day, and that is Molly Olly's Wishes for Harry and Dan Skelton. You can back this horse at 5-1 at the time of recording. And this horse so far has been running quite well in her career. She was put against some nice novices. She had quite a lot of strong novice form. And on her seasonal reappearance, she finished third behind Ribble Valley at Carlisle, who I think could be a little bit of a threat and is an interesting runner to Epperton in that fight in 5th hurdle. I know most of you think she'll win that, but I've got my reasons why she might might find it a little bit more of a tough assignment than it looks on paper, but I'll explain it more in the latest in the Saddle podcast, which I'm recording later this week. But going back to Molly's Olly's Wishes, she finished third in that race at Carlisle, you know, and then she went into a Class 2 Mares Handicap, which is always a really hot race at Wincanton, on the Badger Ales meeting, or the Badger Beers meeting, I should say, and she wasn't disrespected there. And there's a few horses from that race that were in and around her that actually went and ran in that listed mares race yesterday at Kempton. And again, a few of them weren't too far beaten. Now, despite having to carry top weight with a few others in here off a mark of 24, I think that's quite workable. And she's showing that she's got some good form in the book. She can take on the boys or run credibly against the boys and back against her own sex in a weaker race to what she was running in. This is only going to be her second run in the handicap. She's a strong travelling sort, and that type at Hereford can sometimes do very well. So for me, a lot to like about Molly Olly's Wishes tomorrow, and the Scouting team, they've been in fair form. So at 5 to 1, I think this horse does represent a little bit of value here, and I think there's a bit of pace in the race, and it just might help her. And also as well, there could be possibly a little bit of rain around at Hereford tomorrow. If that just softened the ground up, that would help Molly Olly's Wishes as well. So at 5 to 1, I think this mare represents some good value for us, and that's why she is going to be my nap of the day in the 250 at Hereford. We then end with our final selection, which is an extra tip at Hereford in the 320 with a horse called Elan de Belle. Oh, I can't even read my own handwriting anyway. You'll see it on the screen for Tom Scudamore and David Pipe. Now, you can currently back this horse at 4 to 1. Now, last time we saw this horse, it finished third at Foss and actually what I thought wasn't a bad race. The form has actually worked out quite well. That was in behind Vocalizer, but if you look at some of the others in this race, the second place horses went on to finish second. You have had the 6th and the 8th place horse come out and win on their subsequent starts, and I think that wasn't a bad race for the grade. Now, that was the first run for this horse after having a wind up, and that was over 2.5 miles. But to me, if you go back and watch the race replay, he's crying out for a step up in trip. He was a bit outpaced, but once the front two went past him, he was finding, and I just think going up in trip tomorrow is going to really help him. He's got untapped potential over staying trips. If you actually look at his pedigree, he's actually related to a cross-country winner that was able to stay 3.5 miles, so that's definitely an encouraging sign. And like I said, going up in trip tomorrow, I think can help this horse, and I think he's going to be one to maybe keep on side tomorrow, and I think he will progress a lot for that step up in trip. So yeah, I think he'll run really well tomorrow, and that's why he is going to be my final tip of the day. He's going to be another extra tip, so fingers crossed we can have a good day. So we'll quickly just recap them through the runners. In the 12.05 at Hereford, the next best is Bumpy Johnson, 9 to 4 win only bet. An extra tip of the day runs in the 12.40 at Hereford with Polloi, 7 to 4 win only bet. In the 1.30 at Lingfield, we go Ballydoyle as the long shot of the day, 13 to 2 each way. Currently at the time of recording, 4 places Skybet. In the 2.25 at Weatherby, we go with Some Rain as an extra tip at 4 to 1. In the 2.50 at Hereford, Molly Olly's Wishes at 5 to 1. That is the nap of the day, win only bet. And then the last tip of the day, if I can read my handwriting again, is Elan de Belle. If I can, God, my handwriting's terrible, isn't it? But yeah, that's going to be my final tip of the day. It runs in the 3.20 at Hereford, 4 to 1 win only bet for Tom Scudamore and David Pipe. So they're the 6 best tips for tomorrow's racing. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying these videos, and subscribe here to my YouTube channel to not miss out on any of my videos. It means every time I upload a video, you'll get a notification here on your app or on your desktop, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do, where my handle is at LuckyLoader15. And if you want to find out a little bit more about myself, my website is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. So please gamble responsibly. Hopefully we can have some winners tomorrow, and we'll be seeing you soon.